Today we're going to be talking about the basic requirements to get a mortgage. So here's the thing, a lot of times people may wait to buy a house until they're in their 30s because they're like, well, you can't buy a house in your 20s. Or I'll have clients where they may be 60 or 70 or 80 and they're like, well, I'm too old to get a mortgage, right? Number one, age does not matter. Whether you are 18 or 102, you are eligible for the same loan programs. We do not discriminate based on age. It is illegal. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know. You do need to be over 18. Now, the next thing is, wait, how long do I have to be at my job? You don't have to be at your job for 2 years. You need to have been employed for 2 years. And there is some variable with this, okay? So for instance, let's say that you went to college, or maybe you went to dental assistant school. If you went to dental assistant school and right out of school you get hired on as a dental assistant with a salary, I can use that immediately. So there are some circumstances where you do not need a 2-year history of working. Now, for most people who are not in a trade school that then goes directly into a salary position, the 2 years doesn't have to be in the same line of work. Once upon a time it did, but now it doesn't. So like for instance, my son is 20 years old right now. He actually works for me part-time while he's in school. He is the one managing the YouTube channel, so say, hey Jack. And when he gets out of school, if he gets into a salary position, he's going to be able to use that salary immediately. And it's because he has a history of working. That's what you need to know, because sometimes people are like, oh, well, I'm doing this now, but before I was just doing this. It's okay. Do you have a 2-year history of working? Simple, okay? The other thing I see a lot is people are like, I hate my job. Can I leave it? Look, as long as you have another job lined up and the pay is guaranteed, it's not a problem. The only time where pay gets tricky is like with truckers. Truckers get paid in a lot of different ways. They get paid by the mile, they get paid by the load, they get paid by the trip. There's so many different variables. The key is consistency in pay. Salary is easy, so easy, guys. Hourly, if you're guaranteed 40 hours a week, and you're working 40 hours a week, easy. Commission, it's 1 year minimum, but if you're switching jobs in that 1 year, definitely tricky. Ideally 2 years, because generally if you're commissioned, the first year you don't do as well. If you're a trucker, and you're switching trucking jobs, just make sure you're keeping the income consistent. Because if you go from being paid by the miles to paid by the load, that's where we end up in trouble, okay? But overall, income, pretty darn easy. Okay, what else? Assets. So many people think you have to have a ton of money to buy a house. You don't. If you're a military member or you're a veteran, 0% down. Certain parts of the country, there's a USDA loan, 0% down. For the bulk of America, conventional first-time home buyer, 3% down. So on a $300,000 house, that's $9,000, okay? And if you're like, well, I have to save for closing costs, let's ask the seller to pay the closing costs. There's a lot of parts of the country right now where we're seeing real estate agents negotiate with the seller to pay closing costs, okay? So quick water break. We can all have one together. So you just need to know you don't need this huge lump of cash in order to buy a house, okay? The other thing that comes up is credit score. There's so much hype around credit score and so much anxiety. The credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, they've done so much advertising to consumers. You've got Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. Everybody has you hyper focused on your credit scores. Look, do you need an 800 credit score to buy a house? No. Do you need a 700 credit score to buy a house? No. Do you need a 620 to buy a house? For some loan programs, but not all. FHA, you can go down to 550. VA doesn't have a credit score requirement. We go off of credit history. And look, this is lender by lender. Conventional, 620 and above. So no, you don't have to have perfect credit, okay? And if you're like, Jen, I don't even have credit. Am I doomed? No. We can look at doing a non-traditional credit report where we're going to look at, have you paid your rent for a year? Can we verify that you pay your bills with like a cell phone bill, a car insurance bill? So look, I wanted to do this video because I feel like so many times people think that buying a house, you have to be rich, or you have to be a certain age, or you have to make a certain amount. And I'm telling you, you don't. It is way easier than you think. And it's something I wish I had known in my 20s. I didn't have that financial education or those parents that were going to teach me about that. And that's what we see a lot of, is we see, the families who are teaching their children about home buying, they're buying their houses even earlier. Whereas the parents where maybe they were renters or they did home ownership late, they're not teaching their kids. So the kids are all like, I guess I'll buy a house when I'm rich. And that's the thing, you don't have to be. So really, it is not as daunting as you think. If you want to talk about putting together a plan, we don't charge for this, or seeing if you qualify now, reach out, 786-933-2077. My team and I can help you everywhere but Utah and Rhode Island. Honestly, it's just because I got so many licenses and I was like, I'm done. I hit a wall. So we can help you in 48 states and we're here to help get you home. But the bottom line is this, it is not that hard. It is not that hard. It is shockingly easy. So feel free to reach out. Let's talk about where you're at, put together a plan, and see if we can get you home. Thanks for watching.